بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيب الله رب العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the continuation of the discussion on lesson 2, which is the status of the Quran from the Quran. Just a reminder of last week, we said that there's another universe, as the author talks about, which is in connection with this physical universe. And that universe is beyond our comprehension and understanding. And for that to understand, only limited amount God have sent from that universe. As we say, وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِنْدَنَا خَزَائِنْ, near us there are these treasures. And from these treasures we have really sent a بِقَدْرِ الْمَعْلُومِ. A set amount have been set here. Even many verses that points out in regards to rizq, in regards to ilm. God says that the ilm that we have given you is very qaleel. It is very little. The real ilm is over there. But what you have here is very little. Or for example, even rizq. A person might have loads of food, but he will never feel filled. Still he needs more, right? But there could be a person who could just have one almond and could, have that tranquility and peace of mind, right? That rizq is there. The same in regards to thawab as well. A very good point which I kind of wanted to revisit in regards to thawab, which the author had mentioned in his writing, was that the thawab which God says that He's given us in the hereafter and also in this dunya is from God. It is something unique and special. It is something near God, just like how ilm is near God and He gives. It's from God. Rizq is near God and He gives. So this rizq and ilm and thawab is from a different universe. It's from a different world altogether. Which is indeed, there's a relationship with this physical world. Like when I have ilm, al-ilmu nurun yaghzifu fi qalbi man yasha, right? So there's a relationship of this physical world, of physical me to that world. And whatever it has been given, is very little in regards to the ilm. The real is with God. So the thawab the same way. The thawab, when He says that I give you in this world thawab, such as health or wealth or children or whatever, as in reward for what you have done. For example, they say if you do sile raham, in return, the thawab of that is that your life is prolonged. So maybe I was destined for something, life was prolonged. This thawab is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very special. Special gift. Now, the author looks at the issue of tanzil and inzal, which we talked about. This universe, which we said, and last week as well, have a relationship with this physical world. In this physical universe as well, when people who have studied physics, they will know that, they could go to a certain amount, certain limit. Like even, for example, the Einstein theory of how it is intertwined with each other, like a string, connected to another sort of universe altogether, which is beyond our comprehension, beyond our understanding. Kind of, if you can Google it, the theory of Einstein, you will come to how this physical universe is connected to another one, which we still don't know what it is, right? So the same way, when we raise this physical reality to the maximum capacity, right? And it reaches there. And then all of a sudden it kind of enters into, it's like a black hole kind of. You go into that and you go to a different world altogether. A world of spirit, a world of barzakh, a world of spiritual realities. And then when it comes from there, when it's coming to this dunya, it must take some sort of form. It just cannot be without form. Even when Hazrat Maryam sees Jibreel, she saw a basharan, like a human being. It took a form. It just cannot be without a form, right? And the effects must be seen in this dunya. When the wahi used to come to the Prophet, he would go pale, he will go heavy, because it is something heavy from that world altogether. And when it comes from that world, it makes the whole body completely, loses sort of physical abilities. That's why when death comes, it's like when we look at the person, it's about, because he's communicating with that world. He started seeing that world. So that is natural. It's not because, Nauzubillah, this person is very sinner, that's why he's suffering. No, it's when wahi came, so the Prophet, he would, he'll go pale, he will shake, the whole camel will sit down. Not that Prophet is weak, Nauzubillah. It's only Prophet's heart and his capacity that was able to bring that Quran, as we talked about. Law anzalna hadha al-Quran, ala jabalin, if it was upon the jabal like a mountain, it would have gone to shattered dust. But the heart of the Prophet was capable to really take that. Heart of the Prophet. Because al-mu'min kal-jabal. But the jabal will also shatter. So even if be me or a mu'min, if I regard him, I'm positive about me as mu'min, even that we would have gone into shattered pieces. You see, but that's the heart of the Prophet, which was the ability to really grasp that. So when he was trying to really download that data, from that world, the Prophet used to shake and shiver and go pale, and, heavy sound of like a ring, like for example, bell. The Prophet says that when wahi happens, it's like a ringing sound of huge bells ringing in my ears. It's a different world altogether, right? So from that world, when it comes to this dunya, it must take some sort of form. It must have some sort of sound. It must have some sort of language. As we were talking about, Arabic becomes that language. Even Jibreel, when he came, Hazrat Maryam saw Jibreel in a form of a human being, in a form of an insan. Because we can only communicate through this dimension. We really cannot go beyond this dimension, because what been given to us is really khali. So we can only enter to certain level, certain limit, and then after that, we just can't. That's why aql, could reach to a certain point. Beyond that is wahi. Beyond that is wahi. Beyond that is that world that we don't really know anything about. And even this aql have only limited capacity to really see this side of the Quran as such, which is Arabic. What about that side? We haven't even, understood that, right? Even this side we haven't. Allama says that we just have reached the shore to really understand what Quran is, even after having maybe good Arabic understanding, meanings, philosophy, hadith from the Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam with the explanation of it, right? But still we are still, at a very lower level. And that is for this side of the Quran. Imagine that side, But, even this side is so fascinating, it doesn't really stop us. It makes us eager, go more and more, because there is some sort of relationship of this fitrah, of this nature, of this ilm, of this spirit with that world, because we are from that world. As they say that Rumi has a very beautiful poetry where he says, why do you fear death? We were from there. Why are we afraid of going there? There's nothing to worry about, right? Just die and go at that world, So therefore, as we are from that world, we tend to relate to that. We tend to create that relationship, and comprehend and understand that. And like as Sheikh was mentioning earlier, the heart must have that light to really attract that light. If we are dark, it's not possible to really create that. But even that darkest of the heart is moved, with the Quran. There's something magical. There's something powerful about this, no matter what, the sound of it or whatever that is. And this is after 1,400 years been revealed to us, for example. Right. So there's now the tanzil, as we said, that what we have, Quran is the reflection of that, which is Kitabul Maknoon, which is in the ghaib. The reality of it is there. And this tanzil is not that, okay, it's up here and it's down there, so it's not here. God says is, it's indana. And God also uses the word na. Majority of the time the Quran has used indana or kitabul maknoon or lawh mahfuz have been used. But this kitabul maknoon is indana, is near us. Not indallah, not even indallah, not even in the Rahman. It is that na, it's like a very mysterious way of introducing that the inna anzalna ho, it's not inna anzalna, it's like ho, it's from the zamir returns back to that who, right? And wama adraka and all that. So Quran, when it is talking about, as that, a reality of that world, it's always relating to near us, like ilm, what we have given, but the rizquna, indana, ilmuna, it's in our knowledge, with God. Quran with us, knowledge with us, rizq with us, and then from us we are giving, us meaning God. Na, because we are saying us is a plural, that's why God uses, nahnu, for example, nahnu nazzalnahu dhikr wa inna lahu lihafazun, we are the one who have sent the zikr. It's nahnu. When God is not saying, Allah is the one, because God kind of speaks in is first person, second person, and third person as well. God is the one, فَالْمُدَبِّرَاتِ أَمْرًا. The angels are the one who takes the command of God. They do this and they do that. God is the one who's making, for example, but here it's saying, نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَاهُ ذِكْرًا. We have revealed the word, and we will take care of it, right? So therefore, this side, only we have some sort of understanding. The path is open for us, and all of these premises for us to really grasp. And as a matter of fact, God is not, God is adil, God is just. If we have that sincerity, that love, that care, God will give us. That story of Karbala, which I mentioned, he was from a village. He was a villager. He does not know how to speak Arabic, read Arabic, or do anything. But he was able to read the Quran because it was light, right? There's Attar Nishapuri. He's a great, Arif. He was very simpleton. He was Sadeh. They tell him this, he will do that. It's like people used to make fun of him. But he was very fond of, irfan and mysticism and ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of their friends said, when it was a very something like this weather, very Siberian winds were blowing in Iran or somewhere, the pound that they have, it becomes frozen. To make wuzu, you have to break that, right? So the friend said, let's make fun of him. Let's, get a kick out of this, simpleton, this Attar, always wanting to, Irfan talks about. So they told Attar, you know what? If you go jump in that pound, in that house, and then you come out of it, you will become an Arif. He believed, he said, really? He said, okay. Then he went there and he dived into it, and then he came out and started reciting poetry. And that poetry is so difficult for us to comprehend and understand. After a great level of reading philosophy and irfan, we understand what Attar is trying to say. So if we have that sincerity, that khulus, and we are struggling and we are trying, God, pays it back to us. Obviously, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us tawfiq and make this, struggle of ours really fruitful, inshallah. There are many, but alhamdulillah, we managed to somehow, this late, this winter, we managed to be here somehow. There's something that behind it. There's a call that we really don't know, and we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the true fruit for this call, inshallah, for all of us. So therefore, if we have that curiosity, that sort of, sincerity and courage, Allah will provide us. Allah will not, let go our struggle waste. So now, obviously, one very beautiful point Shumali mentioned was that Quran, Torah or Injil. The Torah could, if somebody knows Torah, they would be able to reach to the level of Hazrat Musa in terms of the capacity of understanding of God, for example. And that is, for which Hazrat Musa says that, Rabbi shrah li sadri. Oh Allah, really expand my heart. Injil the same way. But Quran, somebody who would really, understand and read the Quran and sincerely take the Quran, he would reach to the Kamal of Rasulullah. He might have that capacity to reach that level. So where is Musa and his Qawm, and where is, Muslimin, the Muslims and the Prophet, to that level. So if somebody really sincerely dedicate oneself, reciting Quran every day, some of the mustahabbat surahs that we could, perhaps recite to begin with, the sabbahat, yusabbihu lillahi ma fi surah Hadid, surah Hashr, surah Najm, surah Juma, surah Taghabun, these mustahab surahs to be recited at night, surah Waqi'ah, and everyday Quran, for example, it will really give us that freshness. It will really make our, soul and spirit, go higher and higher. Because, Quran is also introduced as habl, as a rope. Hablallah al-mateen. If we take the Quran, we go higher. We go higher and higher. We go nearer and nearer to that universe that we are talking about. That ilm, that rizq. From this dunya we transcend. We go higher through the help of the Quran. Habl means it has been thrown. So in Tanzil and Inzal, very quickly here, Allah have that. In Indana, ilm is Indana, and Quran is Indana, Allah has that, and then He is giving to Rasul, and Rasul have brought it and give it to us, and this is the Quran. So it's not like Allah have the Quran and He has given, so He does not have anything. No, it is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is with God. And He has really given it to Rasulullah, because Rasul had that capacity, and it has. So therefore, Quran will take us to that kamal and perfection where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam have brought that and given us, and it's a path towards getting closer to that proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to that rizq and to that ilm and to that thawab, that is there for all of us, right? Now, it was a very interesting point. In regards to, then the author discusses in regards to the Quran being fresh. It's always fresh. It is never something that is outdated, or it was revealed to them, not to us. Right? So it's a book, as the Quran is introducing itself in the second chapter, it's a book that is always fresh. And when they asked the Imam that why is it, the sixth Imam, they asked him, why whenever we read the Quran, it's always like new, it's always fresh, it's first time as if we are reading it. If we read a book, we read it once or twice and 3 times we get bored, or a place that we visit, for example. But, you recite Surah Waqi'ah every night. Oh, every night you recite, is so shireen, it's so tasty. As if, we recite Surah Qadr, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin. You always want to finish that surah. You cannot stop in the middle. You read few verses, no, you want to finish it. There's some pull in it. And you don't feel bored, you don't feel tired. It's like fresh all the time, right? So they asked the Imam, because Imam said that this book is an eternal book and is for every person, for every time. For this minute, yes it is. For tomorrow, yes it is. For day after tomorrow, yes it is. So every time, this book is new, is for that time, is not for that period. And it has been sent to each and every human being. Sometimes if I give a book to you to read, so it's for you to read, not for others. Or maybe I tell you that it's for you and you can share with your brother as well. But God is saying that this book is for each and every individual. And at the same time, it addresses each and every individual in its own fashion. Maybe I'm on a different level, you are on a different level. So it addresses you in a different fashion. Right? That's why it says, La yumassahu illa al-mutahharun. Those who are pure and they will not be able to mass. Still, we are not talking about understanding the Quran. It's just wiping, just touching. It's only this side. That side is, we don't really know, right? But we will be able to, obviously, when the heart expands, the capacity expands as we go higher in terms of our existence, as there's a relationship there. For example, from this world we go to Barzakh. In Barzakh we'll have a greater capacity to really understand the divine reality more, because we are no longer connected to this physical world. We have entered that immaterial world. We have entered to a realm, to a world where there is no time as such, which is the real and true world. Here things are limited, right? So we will understand the Quran, we'll understand the divine angels more, because we'll be seeing them, we'll be hearing them, Isma, Ifam, all that, right? Because our capacity have increased. It's a level higher. Regardless of a person being a mu'min or not a mu'min, the capacity of insan after death increases, his kamal and his daraja increases. Yes, this could be detrimental or this could be fruitful, right? But in terms of that existence, in terms of that kamal, it has increased. It's like a baby in the womb of the mother compared to baby which is born. Yes, if the baby is born, we recite azan and aqama. Yes, it's obviously there's sawab reward, and he's in a for example, mu'min family, so on and so. But maybe he's born not in a, for example, so in terms of the darajat is different, right? So the same way, a person who dies, his daraja has increased, like from a fetus, from a womb to the life. It has increased. Could see different colors, taste, sound, light, different existence. So the same way, when a person dies, his daraja increases. He sees angels, everybody, the reward, whatnot, azab and everything. He has increased. He has the capacity have increased. So the same way, when we are talking about the Quran is addressing to each and every individual in accordance to his capacity, in accordance to his heart. As the Prophet also have said, when you are reciting the Quran, it is as if wahi is being coming to your heart, except that you are not Nabi Mursal. You are not a prophet, a messenger. But it is as if that wahi is coming directly to you, every person's heart. If I am reciting you. So it's directly from God. As a matter of fact, is the Kalamullah, is the word of God, and God is Hayy, and His Kalam is also Hayy. So it is alive, and God is ever living and everlasting. So His word will be ever living and everlasting. For every era, it will be there for us. And this is in regards to that microcosmic revelation or connection of us with the Quran. Microcosmic meaning, personally, very basic. But there's a macrocosmic connection of insan with the Quran. And that we see as well a gradual ascent in terms of the capacity of understanding of human being in regards to the Quran. For example, the Prophet also have said this. There will be people who will come who will understand the meaning of Qul Huwallahu Ahad. What that chapter really means in regards to that Tawheedi levels. Because the Quran is an introduction of who God is. That's what it is, right? So therefore, there will be people who will come and understand that mental capacity will increase, right? That's why when you look at the tafsir of Tibyan of Sheikh Tusi, for example, or you look at the tafsir of Majma'ul Bayan of Tabarsi, for example, and if you look at the tafsir of Allama Tabatabai now, they were all great scholars, they were intellectuals, they were amazing, no doubt. They have contributed fascinating. They have led that understanding and ma'arif to a certain level. Well, time did not permit them. They, departed this dunya, and their journey is continuing. Their journey is continuing. They have opened that path for us to really go in that direction. And then we take it from there, we go higher. Now, for example, you have Tasneem, Tafsir of Jawadi Amili. It's amazing. Allama also did Tabatabai Mizan. It's fascinating. Tasneem is also amazing tafsir of Quran. And the same thing, trying to understand the Quran. So as a macrocosmic, as an insaniyat, as a human being, as an insan, the mental capacity is also increasing for them to comprehend and understand. Perhaps this could be the reason of that cycle, of that returning cycle, that nuzul and su'ud. The Quran, when it was brought, that was the maximum capacity of the Prophet and the Aimma and message of Wilayat, and then it kind of was given, and then it started back again, trying to return back to that maximum capacity of understanding, which eventually with the 12th Imam, when he will return and he will give us the greater knowledge. So, as a matter of fact, if that sincerity is there, if that struggle is there, that's why you see this development from Tusi to Tabarsi to, Tabatabai to, Jawadi. And I hope, we carry on like this, Now, obviously, as we know, we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this tasneem, I think I mentioned it, reminded me of a drink which is in the hereafter, which we mentioned, I think, last week, I'm not sure. Tasneem is like a special drink, which is given to Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Very special. And even to Ashab Yamin, they kind of do a bit of a mixing, because they don't have that capacity to really take that, right? Because like high voltage, if you put like a small bulb fuse, it goes away, So therefore, we have to have that understanding, That's why this wilayat and Quran, tafsir, it's not for everybody. It's a special thing. It's for special people. Special tawfiq is given to really take and grasp these things. Like for example, if we go sit in somebody who does not like philosophy, if we sit in philosophy class 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, eventually we'll get mentally retarded, we'll go crazy, every day listening to philosophy, but it's not his field, right? So the same way. So tasneem is that. But we should never yearn for higher realities. We should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we be provided these things. Now, this name itself, which Jawadi have placed, is very interesting. Tasneem, tafsir of Quran, or Rahiq Maktoum, in regards to the commentary on Mullah Sadra's Asfar he has done. Rahiq Maktoum is also one of those special drinks of the hereafter. And we have to, if we know the Quran, we will be familiar with these terms, and we will be asking these terms instead of saying, "Oh Allah, put me in Jannah." Okay, that's good. Put me in Jannah. That's good. And even that, if you look at it, the du'as really help us to ask these higher things, because they have seen what is beyond that reality. You see, they know what is up there. We are just here in this dunya and dunyawi things, and most that we want is Jannah. Maghfirah, with these big terminology, we use that. Allah maghfir al-mu'minina wal-mu'minat, Allah forgive everybody, for example, or Jannah. But the Ahl Bayt, they have specifically mentioned these things. As we say, Zanjabilo in month of Ramadan, that's the only month that we recite that dua, Luhum at-tayr, birds meat and this. We don't do that in regular days. That's very unfortunate, right? We should be asking for these things, like the libas-e-harir and all that, right? This is what belongs to us. We have to go there, we have to use this. This dunya is temporary. So what I'm saying is that the Ahl Bayt, who knows that universe of that world, are able to really introduce these things and teach us these things. And this is what tawassul is. In Ziyarat Ashura, what we ask for? We ask for, "Oh Allah, reward me with the same reward that you reward to the shuhada. In the comfort of my Husainiya or on my house, I'm reciting Ziyarat Ashura." No way that I could really imagine what they have gone through. I'm asking for that thing which they have. It's the barakat of Imam Hussain. If there was no Karbala, I wouldn't have been even reciting Ziyarat Ashura and asking for something higher and greater. It's because of Imam Hussain, of Ashab of Imam Hussain. Allahumma, in the du'as of Eid prayer we say, أدخلت فينهم محمد وآل وأخرجت منه رئيسو, right? We don't know what it is. At least, we, through the ziyarat, through the du'as of Ahl Bayt, we unveil these divine realities that is beyond this, right? And even this side, as we said, we are still kind of trying to understand. Now, one final note in regards to the relationship, because the third lesson still, I just checked with Sheikh as well downstairs, is still discussing the second chapter, trying to make sure that this the spiritual understanding of that world and of the Quran is nicely, grounded in us. The other example which Sheikh points out to in regards to that world is, for example, the physical world might reach to a point and will malfunction. But this malfunctioning of this worldly reality will not jeopardize that world or that hereafter. For example, a person might reach to an old age and get Alzheimer because of the malfunctioning of the physical sort of. This doesn't mean that he has become nauzubillah kafir. He is still, dwelling in terms of his soul. He has his own reality. But this is a physical loss of things. Like, for example, a person not having feet doesn't mean that he cannot have feet in the hereafter. That doesn't mean that he cannot, for example, he cannot even imagine that he's running. He could imagine that he's running, that in barzakh and hereafter is a different account, is a different reality. So physical limitations will not jeopardize our spiritual rewards, ilm, or understanding of the higher levels. Yes, I have developed my mental capacity to fully comprehend, for example, the realities of the hereafter. But at an old age, I started losing memory. But it is, even in the physical sense, they say that when a person is about to die, all of these old memories, they just comes back to him. He starts flashes of these things because there's a sense, there's a part in our brain which is the sort of like a place where it records all the memory. It's like stored it there, and it just comes out. It's flashes. It just comes out. Now, even in the physical sense, that's where we have reached to understand. So that means that whatever I have gained, it is stored there in that, in that sort of part of my brain, which is called the memory sensory or memory sensors, for instance. It is stored there. It is there. Yes, I may have become, because of rust and whatever, malfunctioning, I may have forgotten, but it is stored in that memory. Right? So the same way an insan, when he is working on gaining his knowledge of Tawheed, of Quran, of hereafter, he has grasped that, he has understood that, and it is with him. At old age, he might be forgetting, but this doesn't mean that he has forgotten completely. Right? So the same way is in regards to, for example, he points out to the thawab which the reward that someone would get for good actions. If he has that niyat, the khair, qurbatan ilallah, for the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he does something good, he will have that reward in the hereafter for what he has done. And also, if he does not have that connection to that universe or to that world, for that proximity, then obviously it will be only, in this dunya. It will be something, horizontal but not vertical. So this is what he kind of points out to. Inshallah, in our next session, which will look at the different terminologies of mutashabih, ambiguous verses versus the clear verses, and how they differ and what are the different opinions of the scholars, inshallah. We'll have a few minutes for question and answer, inshallah. Bismillah.
You said about Imam alayhi salam was asked that why, because it needs the freshness of the Quran.
Yes.
Could you repeat the answer?
Yes, because the Quran is for every era and every time, because every time you read it will be fresh. And also it is something given to you personally, to each and every individual. It's been given, personally to every person. So so the freshness is a freshness which is belong to every day, for every era, every time it's new. Tomorrow it will be new again. Day after tomorrow it will be new again. And also the freshness is as it is individually based. It is not for them. That is an old book, but it is your book, everybody's book. So it's a new book for. Yes, brother. Alaikum salam. You're welcome.
I think you mentioned this last week when you said again how about having a sincere intention to do something in the way of Allah. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, you said that if there isn't that sincere intention, then there'll just be that horizontal reward in this life. But if there is that sincere intention, then there'll be the vertical kind of reward in the afterlife. So if you do something and your intention isn't 100% sincere, does that mean that there is no reward for you in the afterlife?
There is reward in accordance to the sincerity. If I have 20% sincerity in my act, the reward is 20%. I will achieve that. If there is 100%, obviously yes. And that's why they say that it's very difficult to really bring that khulus, and repetition of it, thinking over and over again would help, to bring that sincerity. And God, out of His mercy, He says that, if you do one amal with sincerity, I will make it up for all of the others with that reward that you get. There's a verse in the Quran which says that Allama discusses this as well. And he says that one ziyarat of me, for example, was with sincerity, although I have done many trips of ziyarat. But one of them was the best. So my reward for all of the ziyarat will be that best one, out of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Does that make sense, brother, in terms of the sincere?
Another question?
Any questions? No, inshallah. Good. Do you have the chapters? Have you?
So we received one PDF.
Right.
We haven't received more files, so we asked.
So you have received how many total so far? 4?
So we received in the first part, which is, I don't know if it's 3 parts or not. It's that page which we have. You have it in front of you?
I'm just checking. It's just loading. Yeah. There's till lecture 3 I have received. Have you received lecture 3 as well? No. Because the lecture 2 was about the Quran itself, introduction of the Quran to Quran.
I think this is exactly the same.
That you have
Yeah.
received. Oh, okay. Sure. Thank you very much.
ask a question?
Bismillah.
Did they ask Rai Jawadi about why he has presented this tafsir of late over the last 5-7 years, waited so long?
Why he has...
Why such a long time before he started giving a tafsir like this?
I think he started right after Allama stopped.
But did he give
But it's been going on since that time, and I think he's reaching in its end now. It's been 20 odd years or so he's been giving tafsir of Quran. It hasn't finished yet. Because when Allama stopped, because Allama was giving tafsir lessons, when he stopped, his lessons were taken over by Agha Jawadi. Basically, he directed Agha Jawadi to take his tafsir lessons. And then he started since then, and then he started basically still going on. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah. Why? Okay, thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. There's a request for, I forgot to mention earlier, of a brother who have requested for prayers, inshallah, and also a sister, they both in hospital. So if you could recite 5 times Ayyam Yujibu for them, please. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibu al-muttarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su. 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 باسمك العظيم العظم الأجل الأكرم بعدد ما أحاط به الملك بمولانا صاحب الزمان يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا قاضي الحاجات يا كافي المحمات إنك على كل شيء قدير رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات, especially the brothers and sisters and the volunteers of this place with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Bismillah. Thank you very much.